a couple of moments just centering in mountain pose. So you can take your time planting your feet, really working from your base up. So notice if your feet want to be right together or do they want some space between them? What feels most supportive? And you might consider lifting all your toes, noticing if the mounds of your pinky toes and your big toes tend to press down a little bit more when you do that. And if they don't, could you make them do that? And then spread your toes wide, allow them to drop down, but keep that engagement in your feet. And then notice that your weight is in your feet. So your feet aren't going anywhere if you keep them in place. But think about what would it be like if you were to sort of keeping your feet planted, try opening them out to the side a little, not so that they move, but does that create a little engagement through your legs? And if so, could you continue keeping that engagement, noticing where you actually feel it? And it might be different for everyone. And then how are you holding your arms? Notice if your shoulders are kind of scrunching up. If so, could you maybe scrunch them up for a moment actively and then roll them back and down and let them relax a little bit? Would you like to point your palms forward? So often for me, I don't, but today I really feel like it. And I even feel like spreading my fingers out. What do your hands feel like doing here? And as you have that engagement in your legs, pressing with your feet, can you also bring a little bit of lift into your spine, into your chest, maybe lifting your chin just a little bit so that there's this active pressing down and lifting up. And when you're ready, sweep your arms up, reach your fingertips all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. Hinging from your hips, come into your forward fold. And you can come into a half forward fold or a full forward fold, whatever feels like a good position for you today. If you're in your full forward fold, come into a half forward fold, possibly bringing your hands to your blocks. And as you're in your half forward fold, notice if your knees want to bend. Can you really flatten through your back, thinking about sending the top of your head forward and your butt back? And then really ground down through your right foot. Bring all your weight into that right foot. And we're going to step our left leg back. Would you like to come into a warrior three first by shooting that leg out behind you, lifting it up into the air to any degree? You can keep your hands at your blocks if that feels supportive. You might try lifting them up. Not today, Steph. You might try that though. And then as you're ready, drop your toes down. Find your long lunge. You can scoot your blocks around as needed. Spin your back heel down. Find some grounding here. Your lunge can be as long or as short as feels supportive. And then you can stay here, really grounding down, or you might bring your hands to your knee. You might lift your body up, maybe lift your arms to any degree. So you're in a version of warrior one, wherever you are here. Notice what that position feels like today. And can you really bring that active engagement into your feet as a base of support here? And you can stay in your warrior one here. If you would like to try transitioning into a warrior two, you might begin by opening your body towards the long edge of the mat, possibly stretching your arms out to the side. And notice if you are trying that, is your front knee kind of like falling inward? If it is, that's totally fine. But can you kind of scooch it over? And if you do, like pressing it towards your pinky toe side, what does that feel like? Wherever you are here, notice where your mind is going. And how can you support yourself? If you're in your warrior two, come back into your warrior one. So you'll be turning your hips forward. Arms can be wherever you like them. And then bring your arms back down to your blocks if you're using blocks. Lift your back heel and step forward using as many or as few steps as you like. So you might take little hops to the front of your mat. You might take one big hop. Find your half forward fold here. Again, really flattening through your back, sending your butt back and your head forward. Noticing all your back muscles engaging here. And bring all your weight into your left foot this time. Really ground down through that foot. We're going to step back with our right foot this time. And would you like to try out a warrior three by shooting your right foot back, lifting it up? How is your balance today? Mine's pretty wonky. If you'd like to try lifting your hands, you can. And if you want to keep them supported with your blocks, like I'm choosing to do today, that might be the best option for you. As you're ready, if you're hovering in your warrior three, you can set your toes down on the ground into your lunge. Take your time spinning that heel down. And you can either stay here or maybe you bring your hands to your knee. Maybe you lift your body up. Arms could be in cactus arms. They could be up, reaching towards the sky. They might stay at your knee. What feels like the right challenge today? Really noticing your feet as that foundational support. And when you press into your feet, that creates tension through your legs, creates strength, supporting you here. Can your breath be another anchor for you? Really focusing on breathing long, slow, steady breaths. And if you would like to try transitioning into warrior two, you could do that now, opening your hips, opening your chest, stretching your arms to the front, to the back in this big T. And again, one of the things that tends to happen very often when we're in a lunge is that the front knee will kind of move in towards the center. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what does it feel like if you do try to kind of center it more over your toes, pushing it over towards the pinky toe side? Sometimes it engages muscles in the back of your hip. If you're in your warrior two, take maybe one or two more deep breaths before transitioning back through warrior one. Maybe lifting your arms, maybe bringing them to your knee. And then bringing hands back down to blocks if you're using them, lifting your back heel. And taking your time coming back to the front, either with a few little steps, a few little hops, or possibly one big step. Find your forward fold of choice here. And the one that I'm going to choose, which I'll share with you, is to toe heel my feet out to a wider position, bend through my knees, and rest my forearms just above my knees with a flat back. You might be in a full forward fold. You might be in a half. You might be in an entirely different position. It's up to you. As you're ready, if you would like to come into a full forward fold, you can do that. And you can bring your hands either to blocks or to the floor. And then bring one knee down, followed by the other, or come down onto your mat in whatever way works for you if that doesn't work for you. You may be in tabletop. And if you're in tabletop, would you like to send your hips back into child's pose? With the option of resting your forehead on your hands or a block or the floor. Come back to your breath here. And if you really hate child's pose, if child's pose is not a resting pose for you, find a position that is a resting pose, whether that's seated, it could be lying down, it could be anything. You get to decide. Maybe take a moment to really tune in and notice like what the thoughts in your head are saying. Notice if those are helpful thoughts or not.